fight for God, honor, country, family. Yourself, I do not care. You fight!
What is up, guys, and welcome back to yet again another Visualized History and Lore video. Today we have another ACW replay for you. Usually I do these battles and recordings where I'm actually playing the battle. You're just hearing us talk while we're actually playing the battle in real time. But I thought I'd try at least once or twice to try and narrate or review the battles through replay, much like Pixelate Power and other videos I've done in the past with other Total War games. So that's what we'll be attempting to do here today. Today we have a 2v2 that was hosted on the official ACW multiplayer Discord. Again, if you want to find games like this, the link will be in the description. Join us there. We are playing on the hardcore submod 1.5, a new version that just came out. It's a submod that has been developed by yours truly and Rose Hunter. Again, if you want that information, if you want games like this, you'll need to head on over to the official multiplayer Discord. Without further ado, let's go ahead into the battle. And today we're playing on the Little Round Tops map. We have the Confederate 1st and 3rd Corps. 1st Corps being commanded by me, 3rd Corps being commanded by Pujic. And we're facing off against the Federal or Yankee 2nd and 5th Corps. The 5th Corps be commanded by Optimus. And then the 5th Corps would be commanded by 1st Sergeant Klink from the 1st Georgia. Alright, I'll go ahead and go back and give you what army comps I can of the Confederate armies because I can see all that. But you'll just have to learn the Yankee army as it comes through due to the fog of war that has been introduced to this mod. 1st Corps being commanded by yours truly. I have the Volunteer and Charleston Cadets going down the road first. They're leading the vanguard. I'm running up my 3-inch battery so I can get some counter battery off here as fast as I can. We're going to have the 17th Virginia Warrington Rifles and the 11th Virginia Company E Lynchburg Rifles heading up the road behind them. Coming up to their left and going down in front of them will be my 2 units of skirmishers, followed by a Confederate late war unit to fight off any encroaching Federal cavalry. My Confederate general is here, and I'm slowly moving up my Richmond howitzers. I usually don't engage these guys until the infantry is engaged, so you won't see those guys in action for a while. Coming up the other road here, towards that same position, we have 3 units of the Hood's division. They'll be coming in mass, and then 3 units of the McClaw's division. Not following the road and taking their sweet time, making it into line of battle for the day, I guess you can call it. We have the 24th Georgia and 3 units of the Texas Brigade. Again, part of Hood's division, but separate from the main part of it. Commanded by Pujic is the 3rd Corps. Looks like here he's forming his army into 2 pieces or 2 sections, a left and a right wing. His left wing will consist of a state militia unit, a Greg's Brigade, which is elite South Carolinians. Looks like all 3 of his Greg's, or 2 of his Greg's Brigades, excuse me. So 2 of his elite units, which are star units, and my star units are the Texas Brigade. And again, those units, star units mean they inspire other units around them. So they'll give a little bit of a morale buff, kind of like a general does, without giving rallies or inspires. To their right is an Archer's Brigade and 3 units. So the entire Archer's Brigade, 2 Greg's Brigade, and a state militia will form his left wing. Coming up the center is another state militia. And going down the road, he has a volunteer, 2 volunteers, 3 volunteers, 4 volunteers, 5 volunteers, 26th North Carolina, and it looks like a couple more volunteers. But leading the column, so literally the bulk of his, I guess, meat shield army is going up this road. And so the original attack plan now, okay, we have some first shots going off on 3 inches. I think I'm trying to hit those cavalry. I forget what I was trying to hit initially. Yeah, I think there's some Federal cavalry right here I was trying to hit and get out of the way. But that's the first shots coming up from them. Pujic's sharpshooter units are scouting forward for his right or left wing, excuse me, I'm looking at it the wrong way, and he has a Confederate early war cav. Other than that, it looks like he has a 3-inch battery and a 24 howitzer. 24-pound howitzer, excuse me. And his 3-inch is right here, Pegrams. Pegrams is a 3-inch, but it's an elite Confederate 3-inch, if you were wondering what the difference is there. Going into the attack plan, so the attack plan is obviously we need to take Little Round Top, which is this hill here. The Federal 5th Corps looks like will be facing off against Puget, and the Federal 2nd Corps will be facing off against me. Our initial plan is to take our sweet ass time and let Puget's right flank come around over the side of the mountain here and hit enfilade it onto this hill. And once that attack starts off, he'll step off from these wood lines here and trying to attack face on, supported by me on his left, and I'll try and hold off the 2nd Corps while we try and bloody the 5th Corps and take that hill from him. Because I think if we can take that hill, get our guns up there, it'll be a good game. Looks like some initial counter battery going off from the Pilgrims in the 3-inch. Alright, so we can see a good portion. I give you off some numbers, some units here for what the Federal is bringing for right now at least. It looks like they have a skirmisher unit in the back. In front of them is 3 volunteers, a 2-gun section with a 10-pound Parrott rifle. This is a good... It's pretty much... 10-pound Parrott rifles are unique to the Union armies and are pretty much 3 inches on steroids. Like anything the 3-inch can do, the 10-pound does it 2 times better, but at a little more of a cost. They have a 6-gun 3-inch battery here that's starting off the counter battery. They have an Union early war cavalry here. They have the Irish Brigade, which is one of their elite units of the 2nd Corps. Following down to their left, we have Hayes Division from the 2nd Corps, and then now we're going into the 5th Corps. I don't think there's any more revealed yet as to 2nd Corps' army comp. Going into the 5th Corps, we can see quite a bit actually. You see we've gotten some good hits on their early war cav, getting those guys out of the way. Don't want them going around where we're trying to initiate the attacks. Forming the brink here between the two armies is Klink's or 5th Corps' regular infantry, which is in more elite infantry, but it's not a star unit. He has some two volunteer units, followed by the Union veteran unit. This is a star unit. It's kind of like the regulars, but has that inspire ability. The Zouave unit is an elite unit, again, not star. Volunteer. 5th New York is an elite unit, however, I do not believe it's a star unit. The Union veteran, again, is star unit. Volunteer, and I believe actually he'll end up having a 20th Maine over here. There's another volunteer there in the back. He does have his 3 inches up here in a very nice position, getting a good look over the battlefield. You can see actually there some of his Puget's left wing, right wing, I guess you can call it, starting to form up to get ready to make it through these rocks and up and around this hill, this position. Good shots going off there from 5th Corps' 3-inch battery up there, and he has another 3-inch battery over here that is also counter battering. Alright guys, so I'm gonna be honest with you, the beginning of this battle is rather slow. We just have men coming up the roads. We're not going extremely fast. We're gonna be trying to soften up the Yankee position, and again, the big part is we're just waiting for this right winged attack, I guess you can say, to use this hill as cover, move around into the woods and up onto this position. We got more units revealed up here. 155th Pennsylvania has revealed itself on the hill, and I think that was a volunteer from earlier. Again, soon there should be some more over here. As the battle goes off, the Federals soon realize what we're doing and start shifting more men down that way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to speed up some time. As you can see, I got my skirmishers out here protecting my left flank. My 3-inch has been remaneuvered and is going to be counter battering against some of the Federal 2nd Corps in case they decide to push out against me. They don't have artillery support. And my Hoods and McClaws has about arrived on the field. They're starting to get positioned for the attack. I believe the battle starts off with McClaws division leading the way, followed by Hoods in a double stacked, I guess you can say. Hood behind McClaws going double stacked into an attack, and then of course we have the entire line supported by my Texas Brigade and the 24th Georgia. So you can see here the big part of our game, it doesn't matter how many kills you get, it matters about LOC. So you're probably thinking, well, that's historically, that's why he's saying you have to take the round tops. He's saying you have to take that, or that's why they're taking it, because that's what historically you'd have to do. No, in the sub mod or in the original mod 2, we have added LOC. LOC is these points here you can see on the mini-map. Each point is worth how much it says, and whoever's army controls the most points at the end of the game determines who wins. It's not a new concept, but one definitely adopted by the mod. You can see here the little round top is the most valuable point on this map at 3 points. The Union position is auto given 2 points, which 2nd Corps has moved up to this wood line to protect that 1 point. You see, even with us moving up more than half the map, the Confederate Army still only has 4 points here, these 3 1s and this 2. So that means either the Confederate Army would need to take this 1 or this 3 for the win. And of course, well, 1 for the tie, 3 for the win. But again, if you take this 1, if you're able to successfully take that 1, by that point you've destroyed whatever is over here, and you should be able to wrap up the rest of the army. But it's never guaranteed. But that is the situation now. So we're gonna go. We're not gonna try and mess around with this 3. As you can see, this position is extremely well fortified. We got 3-inch 6-gun. We got the 10-pound 2-gun and a 3-inch there. And even if I try and push it, I'm still within range of that. So you're getting hit from all sides. It will quite literally turn into a Pickett's charge, trying to take this clump of trees right here from 2nd Corps. So that's what we're not gonna focus on. You can see my 24-pound. Where is it? My Richmond houses, excuse me, are moving into position. I chose this position because it's relatively behind a sort of ridge. I can still get hit from here, but it'll be kind of hard to get any direct hits or relevant hits. So I'm moving them up here. I'm gonna try and start hitting some. Maybe there's maybe that regular infantry that was there. Where did they go? There was a regular infantry there, and then maybe that Zouave unit there. You can see the Federal 5th Corps with their Union late war are trying to hit these cavalry because they try and do fuckboy shit like this, and they are trying to run up as fast as they can to try and kill these Richmond howitzers. Whether I don't believe they can see me because you can see my unit cards are hidden, but I did change the Pilgrims and my 3-inch are all focusing on this Union late war, and they will rout under the fact that they are charging straight into the center of the combined Confederate army. And as for the Federal 2nd Corps, you can see a bunch of his reserves starting to become revealed. We have a volunteer unit and Harrow's division followed by 2 volunteer units. His late war stands pretty strong. I think I did get 1 hit off on them earlier, but nothing of real relevance. And nothing else has revealed itself on Little Round Top. For the time being, we are hidden to all the forces on there. You can see what I'm talking about now. The Confederate 3rd Corps is using this hill to the best of their ability to shelter from inflated fire from that 3-inch to try and get onto this ridge here. We can see is another, I guess you can say, envelopment in the environment to where the 3-inch will have a harder time hitting you. But regardless of what you do, once you come over this hill here, you're subject to the endless musketry fire and cannon fire from the 3-inches there. Was I wrong? No, I was wrong. No, I was right. I thought I said McClaw. Hoods goes first, followed by McClaws. Maybe I said it backwards. It looks like McClaws will be the first up into the fight, and they are ready to go. My attack will come double stacked again with Hoods and McClaws into this area here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit because we decided not to step off until this right wing is into position, which will take a while trying to transverse this ground here. And I'm going to fast forward maybe like 5 minutes. See where we are, see if there's any updates or anything, and let you all know. So. Alright, what is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the battle. So, as you see there, the Federal 2nd Corps skirmishers that we saw earlier just got decimated in an open volley. You see these men here in the forest were hidden, and I waited until my men became unhidden by his skirmishers to open volley on them. And an entire line of Confederate infantry just opened volley on them. So, developments from when I last left you all. My 3-inch that has been counter-battering 2nd Corps artillery got infiltrated fire by the 3-inch there with the Federal artillery here on the Federal right flank, my left flank. Got infiltrated fire. My battery got shot to bits. I only have 2 active batteries now. One's kind of bugging out, and definitely lost half of that unit there. My skirmishers, and nothing has happened, anything of relevance there. You saw that there. The Confederate 3rd Corps, excuse me, starting their attack on the flank. They did run into some Union skirmishers about here that soon retreated. They didn't even put up a fight. They retreated immediately to the end of the line to fall back. As you can see, there is the 20th Maine with Chamberlain holding strong against the oncoming Confederate 3rd Corps attack. Now since that attack has started off, the Confederate 3rd Corps with its left wing should step off here at any second now. As you can see, I'm already moving to get into position with my hoods and McClaws, and in fact my Texas are coming up behind those guys. There was a small skirmish here where the Federal 5th Corps moved up the skirmishers and their sharpshooters into these thick bushes here, but they were repelled by Gregg's Brigade's fire and sharpshooter fire from the opposing Confederate sharpshooters that are still here in the bushes looking up onto Little Round Top. The initial attack here is starting off rather rough, moving up slowly, and it's hard to get good shots up on these guys, and regardless of what you do, you're getting shot down upon, and it's just not a healthy situation. And not only that, you now have a situation where it's 3-4-ish with a skirmisher versus 2, just because it's so hard to navigate all these rocks and get into position fast. So you're going to take a lot of point-blank volleys very early on just because of how long it will take you to navigate these rocks and get into position. So instead of the 20th Maine being on the extreme left this time, now we'll be up to Pennsylvania and the 155th Pennsylvania Zouave unit here holding off. It looks like the volunteer units are starting to open up fire. It looks like it'll have to fend off against 2 volunteer units, 5 volunteer units, and the 26th North Carolina. The Confederate 3rd Corps General is close behind that attack, making sure nothing goes wrong. Its Peagram's battery has switched to this side of the field to try and see if it can get some good shots onto Little Round Top. And of course we have the 3rd Corps howitzer and my howitzer moving up to provide more close range artillery support. 5th Corps, realizing just how many men are on his flank, he has positioned a Union veteran that will now form the extreme left, trying to stop them from taking this hill. He does not want his flank to be refused, and because this is technically high ground over this ground, so you would have the high ground over him, which of course the whole point of having the high ground is to have the high ground. You don't want the enemy to have the high ground of the high ground. You always want to stay on the highest ground. 5th Corps starting to shift down, and you see 2nd Corps starting to move down with them with Hayes' division. That regular infantry is back, and it looks like it'll be the first off against my Hood's division here. The rest of the Hood's division and the McClaw's division are falling behind quite a bit, and we'll have to make up the time. The Confederate 3rd Corps is stepping off from their attack from the wood line here, and as you can see, they will start their ascent of the base of Little Round Top. First, they're clearing out some of these skirmishers here. Very beautiful shot, seeing some organized Confederate brigades and regiments stepping off from the woods to attack Little Round Top. Very beautiful. So we now have Hood's division. One of them leading quite a way behind, it looks like, actually. Where's the other Hood's division? No, it's right here. Still leading behind. We're trying to push up the Hood's division into this small wooded patch here, because if you're in the woods, technically you get a little bit of a buff in terms of not getting killed as much. In terms of the fire that's already been going off between this Hood's division and the regular infantry, nothing is really happening, just due to the fact that this is horrible position. You're shooting through 1, 2, essentially 3 picketed fences trying to hit each other. So actually no casualties has occurred just yet. However, the 5th Corps, realizing I can't hit him from there, has moved over his regular infantry to remove my Hood's division from this wooded position I tried to gain there. And again, I will return the favor and move up that other Hood's division to counter that shift. And then the final, now Hood's division is completely engaged, with the last element of it getting into line here to get ready to point blank almost this volunteer unit of 247 men now. My biggest concern at this point here is the Federal 3-inch battery that has a really good position over my entire corps coming over that hill. As for the Confederate 3rd Corps, they have finally gotten into the bushes and are starting to attack. However, this position is rather strong due to the fact that it's held by an elite star unit and the Zouave infantry, followed by another volunteer and some sharpshooters. However, the attack does have depth. You see some reserves, and that's always good to have depth. The initial infantry that has engaged here, the first ones I told you were getting 4v2'd, you now see the devastation of that, and the remaining volunteer unit from that initial attack is down to 170 men and not holding very strong. As for the rest of the army, it is moving up quite a bit, has formed some decent battle lines, and the 26th North Carolina, which is the elite star unit for the the overall elite star unit for the 3rd Corps is now going off against the extreme Federal right flank, which is actually being bloodied pretty good. And again, we have one more volunteer coming around the extreme flank. So unfortunately, that Union veteran that was trying to stop the 26th North Carolina and the volunteer from getting the high ground failed and did not quite have enough weight behind its counter movements, I guess you can call them. Archers Brigade taking serious damage. I told you this was a strong position. Archers Brigade, general from Maryland, captured at Gettysburg just the day before, if this is July 2nd. And the Greg's Brigade will have to fill that spot. 2nd Corps starting to shift down quite a bit of its men. It's Hayes Division, and it looks like two in the Irish Brigade, Harrows, and Hayes Division are all shifting down to support this regular infantry. In the Hoods Division, the initial Hoods Division that got up into the initial element, excuse me, of the Hoods Division that got up into this woodline got bloodied pretty good with some focused fire. However, they did fall back and are reinforced by McLaws Division that has just arrived on the field. We have McLaws moving. It looks like that Hoods Division will fall behind this far left element of it, and McLaws will lead the attack from here on out. We do have the one element of the McLaws Division taking the lead. It's going to use this road to get up onto the flank of this retreated and rallied volunteer unit to hopefully take out those guns I told you I was worried about before. So it looks like, yeah, it looks like the element of the McLaws Division will come onto the right flank of that initial Hoods Division attack and try and work their way up to those guns before the full force of the Federal 2nd Corps can arrive. As you can see, they are starting to move en masse to try and shift in front of this unified attack by these two divisions. We're hearing some charging, so that McLaws Division that did get up the road is now being charged by that rallied volunteer unit. And we'll see our first melee battle of the day. Definitely a fight for these guns right there. And it looks like the Federal 2nd Corps General is also arriving on the field to support this attack. The McLaws Division is actually not helping his own attack. Right here, this element is actually helping dislodge some of the 5th Corps from Little Round Top. The Greg's Brigade and the State Militia will be shifting around to try and exploit that situation. The 5th New York Jury's Zouaves has come to the extreme left of the Union line to help this volunteer unit I told you was getting bloodied earlier, and try and repulse this volunteer from engulfing it and maybe capturing it. 26th North Carolina still occurring no casualties as they do not have enough. The Union does not have enough volume behind their defense in order to return fire on these guys, and this is getting some good enfiladed fire here. The rest of the Confederate 3rd Corps attack is starting to slow down though and getting drudged up. Excuse me. The volunteer unit that the right element of the McLaws Division from my corps has really bloodied that volunteer unit and will help dislodge that and maybe relieve some of the pressure all along the Confederate 3rd Corps line. However, this melee attack is still going on. Unfortunately, Hayes Division has arrived on the field, and 2nd Corps is getting formed very fast, too fast indeed. Irish Brigade on their far right of that attack. The regular infantry from before is now being extremely bloodied by the regular infantry, by the Hoods Division that has moved up to this picket fence. However, now with this position, because of the height, they'll be firing over it. We now have a volunteer, this Hayes Division, Irish Brigade, and a regular infantry all focusing down this one Hoods Division, which is obviously not ideal. They now alone McLaws Division and Hoods Division hold the center. The Texas Brigade, the first element of the Texas Brigade, is moving up the road to help support that initial melee attack, possibly get onto the enfiladed flank of this Harrows Division, which it looks like, no, the McLaws will be taking that job. The McLaws will be moving on to that position, and it looks like, suffering about 30-minute casualty to that melee, the volunteer unit that rallied here on the guns has now fallen back, and the McLaws will try and get behind that initial picket fence they tried to do before and maybe take out those guns. Again, we see the next element of the Texas Brigade moving up. So full Texas Brigade push along this road to the extreme depth behind the Union line. And due to the fact that that volunteer fell there, it looks like the Federal 5th Corps is falling apart in confusion. 2nd Corps is really trying to come over to help, but they're falling apart fast. And it looks like Federal 5th Corps will be trying to fall back to this side of the field. The Union General over here on this side of the field of the Federal 5th Corps is definitely holding on to whatever they can. Now looking good. 20th Maine Holding strong, taking 8 casualties, so they're doing pretty good actually. Confederate 1st Corps Richmond Housers have moved up in front of the Confederate 3rd Corps, state militia that is in reserve of my attack with my general. Looks like we're having a push from the McLaws division to try and take out this 3-inch ordnance battery. Federal 5th Corps, Federal 2nd Corps not liking their position, and it's falling back just due to the surrounded infiltrated fire now on this flank. They have been dislodged from their position, and this poor battery is taken into the face. 3 men lost in that initial volley.
To the standard!
Looks like that 10-pound Parrott 2-gun section from the other side of the field didn't make its way over here to try and support. But again, the fact that the Texas Brigade has moved up this field so fast has really dislodged Union plans for trying to, oh god, not doing well at all there. So it looks like they got an initial canister shot off there, losing 13. Wow, losing 13 in 1 canister shot. That was not good. So they get 1 canister shot off before relinquishing their guns. The Confederates have taken the first guns of the day from the Federal 5th Corps. No other guns have been taken. Union veteran unit from before is still taking heavy casualties, and it's getting harder for them to replace them. Again, 26th North Carolina, just with no depth in their position. This is what the Union veteran infantry was trying to stop from happening. But again, once they got the ground, and was it's fallen apart since. Looks like the only thing really holding on to the center of the Federal 5th Corps is this Zouave unit here. Pushing out a little too far away from their division, McClaw's division that took the guns, will be falling back. Looks like the initial elements of the Hood's division that initially started the day will now be refusing their flank to a volunteer infantry unit. So it looks like the Federal 2nd Corps, with the fact that the Confederate 1st Corps hasn't been able to take this road, has fallen back into this wood line. It looks like they're starting to shift them in for a renewed attack, maybe onto this road down here. However, it does seem like it's going to be a little too late, just due to the fact that they should already be attacking, with the fact that the Federal 5th Corps is falling apart. At this point, the Confederates are still technically losing, because nobody controls this 2, and in fact the Union is going to come up and move infantry up here to protect that 2. So technically no points for the Confederacy has been gained, and we are technically still losing. Good howitzer shots coming in behind the Zouave unit as the Archers Brigade runs up this field to try and push the attack, maybe push for that 3. Over half the time this battle has been used, and looking pretty good for the Confederates, but again, it could come down to time unless 5th Corps just falls apart. It's really them holding on right now, and 2nd Corps is trying to come to their defense. McLaws division and a Texas Brigade holding this road. Where's the other McLaws division? Oh, it's here in the woods. That replaced that one Hood's division, which is here, that got bloodied in those woods when it first advanced. Those poor regular infantry from before got absolutely massacred here on this line, especially right here. You can see the volunteer unit right portion of the McLaws division engaged here initially from 5th Corps on the hill. You can definitely see what damage that did with that combined attack. Battle is becoming pretty much point blank at this point, as the Zouave unit is desperately holding on to this 3-point, which is the only technically 5th Corps unit that is holding on to that 3-point. The Confederates desperately trying to push up this hill. Morale there is relatively even. Looks like a volunteer from the Confederate 3rd Corps is not doing well. It looks like it had to get inspired there from the general. Ooh, the volunteer unit has pushed down and pushed off that Union veteran unit, and it looks like we now have a 2v1 on this 5th New York infantry holding on to the extreme left, followed by some sharpshooters in support. It's now down to the 155th Pennsylvania, which was the initial extreme left that has now taken almost 50% casualties and is holding on desperately in a 2v1 against these two volunteer units. 20th Maine still holding strong and doing extreme damage to all the units in its front. You can see now how all these units up here are approaching very quickly 60% casualties almost. Federal 2nd Corps Army is now, like I said, using that road to initiate a new attack. However, the Texas Brigade, or at least an initial element of it, is able to get down the road to stop them from using this road to support the 5th Corps in its back, or maybe use to get enfiladed fire on this road and refuse the Confederate 1st Corps flank. However, the Texas Brigade was able to get down there just in time. However, they are not supported yet. They are down there alone, possibly in a 3v1 situation. So the Confederate 1st Corps is trying to rush infantry down there as soon as possible. And it looks like it will be that right element of the McLaws division and the Texas Brigade that will be moving down the road to help that, along with a Confederate cavalry unit. So it is official. The brave Zouave units that were holding the 3-point have fallen apart, and it looks like it is taken by Archer's Brigade, State Militia, and Gregg's Brigade. The Union has decided to give it one last try. Chamberlain ordered to charge down the hill to try and dislodge and disrupt the Confederate right flank hinge, I guess you can call it. But they're soon getting enveloped by supported Confederate, state militia, volunteer. They are completely surrounded with that maneuver, and the 20th Maine breaks under the pressure to try to save as many men as it can. The 5th New York, under that, learning that they have broken, has now broken themselves. And the 26th North Carolina has full sight over the other side of the hill.
Fallen to the enemy.
Federal 2nd Corps trying to do a desperate last chance initiated attack, maybe to destroy in detail the Confederate Army, or at least the Confederate 1st Corps. So far unsuccessful, but the Union general getting his hands dirty, already lost half of his general staff in the battle, getting up onto the front lines to try and manipulate a victory. Looks like a retreating volunteer unit from the 5th Corps has finally made it to safe lines there. Second Corps attack coming across the entire line to a now undefended road. The initial road that was defended very heavily on that fence is now completely undefended due to the fact that 1st Corps is trying to shift down to the extreme right, and they're going to take some point-blank volleys here with the McLaws and Hood's division, which is not good. The entire Confederate 1st Corps shifting down, and this is just a very desperate attempt. And as you can see there, the battle went ahead and was conceded by the Union 2nd and 5th Corps with a desperate last chance charge, realizing that they just couldn't quite pull off the victory. The Union conceded the battlefield, saving as many men as it could. So looking over the losses here, obviously 2nd Corps taking the least amount of losses just due to them not being able to step off their attack in time, and with the fact that 5th Corps was destroyed in detail, they did not see a point in continuing the attack. Save the 2nd Corps for another battle sort of situation. You see on the Confederate 1st Corps, we're taking 247 losses. And of course, Puget taking quite a bit more losses, going up the little round top with 1,145 losses, approaching about 25% there. Again, a little over that. It looks like that is about almost 30%. We have Clink taking about 30% losses, trying to hold that hill. And then Optimus again taking very small amount of losses just due to the fact that his attack wasn't able to be organized in time. Due to personal stats of the 1st Corps is McLaw's division. I believe this is the one that we had over here attacking that volunteer unit. They're just getting some good volleys off on those guys, enfiladed. We have them with only 13 losses and 132 kills. We have a Texas Brigade unit, I believe this one right here, that got 98 kills, Hood's division. Let's see losses. Who lost the most here? Yeah, I believe it's one of those Hood's divisions there that lost approximately like 20%, almost 15-20% casualties there. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this battle. Wasn't too long, wasn't too crazy complicated, but in the end, very beautiful, very cinematic, and I thought it would be a good first video, this style, I guess you can say, into narrating replay battles. I'll be doing 1 or 2 more of these, seeing how the response is. And then if it's good, I'll keep going. If not, I can just record the battles as they happen real time if you guys prefer that more. I've gotten a lot of requests to do it pixelated Apollo style, I guess you can call it. So without further ado, guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe to Visualize History and Lore for more Civil War and American history content, other history and lore content in general. Make sure to go over to the Discord if you want this special submod, only found on that Discord. Plus, if you want to find an active community for this game and see some of these cinematic battles. And without further ado, guys, I will let you go. Y'all have a great day.